if I can live stream again. I think I got everything fixed. I think I did. It appears that I have. I appear to be live streaming. Okay, so. Hello, everybody. Jersey Druz, cartoonist and teaching artist, if you watched from the beginning. What am I doing today? I'm actually just doing some sketching in my sketchbook, and I thought I could use some of the Inktober prompts that I'm behind on as a way to give me some ideas for doing some development sketches. And let me pull up my Inktober prompts again. And yeah, the 15th, which is tomorrow. No, 14th, which is today, at the time of this recording, was castle. That was the prompt. So I thought, what if I started sketching one of the settings from my next Doctor Baer story. And while it's not exactly a castle they're going to an abbey. Thought I'd draw a little scene where the characters are approaching the abbey from the story. So, and let me get my reference image of the abbey up in front of me. Okay. I'm actually basing it on a particular place. Based on a church in the UK that was the setting of a horror film I really enjoyed recently called, I guess it was originally called The Borderlands, but here in the United States it was it was retitled Last Prayer. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 in the middle. That's right. So it was a found footage horror that I really liked. Let's see. So hello, 01 Ella. Thanks for stopping by. So yeah, I'm just working in my moleskin sketchbook, which I don't get to visit enough. Here's the monk from that scene that I'm doing. This is an early sketch. I didn't quite work out what his costume was gonna look like, and there's our main character, Doctor Baer, which I am for this story. I'm thinking about having him, because we're going to this very cold place. I was gonna dress him in not winter gear, but chilly gear. And I'm just thinking with Copic multi-liners, a couple brush pens. We'll see what I use as I go. And time permitting, I'll do probably more than one of these. But anyway, final prayer for the Borderlands, if you're interested. I mean, it is spooky movie season. It's a pretty upsetting movie. There is this small church in this out of the way English village where the priest believes that he's encountered a miracle, and so the Vatican sends some investigators to test the authenticity of this miracle. And something weird about the town. And if you're familiar with folk horror, you're expecting it to be like, oh, the town has like a deadly secret, it's like a witch coven or something like that, like in Christopher Lee's City of the Dead, which I super enjoyed that one. It's basically like Psycho but with witches. But instead of that, it gets very, I would say, existential cosmic horror at the end. It's not a happy movie, I'll warn you. Like a genuinely scary movie. How does this look? Maybe I should can I get a little closer on it? That's a little bit better, but not much. I moved my camera up a little bit so I could work on a bigger sketchbook. Maybe I should have left it down lower. I could actually lower it right now. I mean, let's see. Did I tighten it too much though? Oh my goodness. I did. Well, unless I wanted to stop the stream to go get a pair of pliers and loosen the bolt on my webcam arm. I don't get to do much sketching like this. I'm more or less doing Inktober because in some of the schools where I'm working, the teachers have sort of challenged the students to participate in Inktober this year. And I thought, well, it's the least I can do is to play along with them and to find those teachable moments where it's like, oh, I'm like 4 days behind. Should I give up? Nope, I'm going to keep on going. I'll make some time here and there to do it. So that's partly what this is about for me. And also, I just want to engage with it in the spirit of just play. I've done a lot of creative challenge season over the years where I'm trying to hack the game and make something else out of the challenge. I've done 2 mini comics and a graphic novel pitch over the course of Octobers in the past, like 1 hour a day for 31 days and generating like a usable thing at the end. But this year, I'm just doing it for just the play and the experience of it. Something that's been kind of growing in importance for me over the years is I'm thinking more about what's my experience of doing the thing. Yes, having a thing at the end, having a piece of content, a product, that's very nice. It's very validating to have something to show for your time. But the one thing that I as an artist get that nobody else can have is that experience of making the thing. So, and that's something that only kind of like revealed itself to me. I'm a slow learner, right? So when my book comes out, Doctor Baer and the inscrutable Dr. Baer in the case of the Two-Face statue, which by the way, I should put it up on the screen right there. There's the URL that I'm talking about. One of the reasons that in that story, like Dr. Baer is very slow to learn something is because I'm very slow to learn things. But yeah, that was something I got out of making that book, is that like, oh, you know what? The act of making this thing is mine. Maybe I should do some more artwork that's all about my experience rather than making a thing. Hey, Matt. You don't have audio and you're literally at a Halloween convention right now, but thought you'd drop in and say hi. Wish me luck. Good luck, Matt. Good luck. Here, I'll write it on my thing here. Good. Oh, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna do it in pen. Where's my big pen? Good luck. And I'll even draw little pickles on there for you. There we go. Good luck, Matt. Thanks for stopping by, even though you can't hear me because you don't have audio on. Oh, that's funny. At a Halloween convention. Oh, Halloween as in the movie, probably. John Carpenter film. Or maybe it's just a convention all about trick-or-treating. I don't know. Could be. Isn't it cool that we have so many different ways to celebrate all the things that we love nowadays? This is something that it's kind of popped up a couple times in my life, or in my recent experience. We were doing a lesson in class where the instructors and I'm a guest instructor, so, you know, but there's like 2 regular instructors who are there every day of the week. I'm there 3 days a week. And we were sort of demonstrating critique and positive, or rather, critique and helpful feedback and compliment sandwich, all that stuff. And so we were trying to, with these juniors, 11th graders, trying to explain to them like how sincere and authentic supportive statements are not that hard to pull off. Oh, hey MRiver72. Thank you for stopping by. Just working in my sketchbook on some Inktober prompts. But we were demonstrating, offering like sincere, you know, positive feedback. And so, you know, I said something nice about one of the other instructors, and then they said something nice to me. And one of the things that they said to me, which I thought I took just like, what a marvelous thing to hear from other human beings. They said, like, I really appreciate how you show up and just love what you love. And that's something I, believe it or not, I work on. Because we live in a world where people are ready to say your music is bad and you should feel bad, to summon that Futurama Zoidberg meme. And so sometimes, you know, it feels scary to just love what you love because you don't know if somebody's going to give you the business for it. Anyway, yeah, and so I was working with some other students in a totally different school, and this topic came up of, these are juniors in high school, 16 years old, and they were talking about warrior cats, and they were really being apologetic about it. They were like, well, I know it's stupid, but I like this and this and this about it. I'm like, well, or you can just love it. You just love it. It's okay if you still like it. No art is perfect. But thank you, MRiver72. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I'm working on, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more on it, a little scene of my characters from my next book coming up to an abbey on a hill, which is my sort of interpretation of the Inktober prompt for today, which was castle? Castle. I'll get my number 5 pen. So yeah, I wasn't about to draw a castle today, but I thought, well, you know, there is this scene in my book coming up where my characters have to climb all these hills in this little cove to climb up to this abbey. I'm gonna draw the sea out there, and let's ink the characters up, and then do a little bit of soft brushing, and I might be done with this one. All right. Foreground rock. Foreground rock to give a sense of distance and to cover up some of the details so I don't have to draw quite as much, although I didn't cover up as much as I might have. And here I'm just using a, what is this? Pocket brush. Intel pocket brush. And I think I'm gonna do like a little bit of like the wind rushing through the grass here, because they are in a little cove or bay. It's probably pretty windy. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna make sure that I capture that, because I wanna And Dr. Baer's coat would be flapping a little bit. The monk's robes would be... Yeah. Oops, oops, oops. Some little bits of leaves flopping around, flying around. Okay. Probably also do another... This is a pretty big Inktober drawing for me. Here's some of the ones I've done recently. They're mostly pretty small. Character designs. Oh, I don't have my Inktober book down here. Oh, phooey. I'm a liar. I'm a liar. Well, you can always follow me on Instagram. Just my name. The same name that's in this Twitch stream. Jersey Drozd. Follow me on Instagram, and that's where I've been posting my Inktobers. I'm also on all those other places like Blue Sky. What's that Facebook one? Threads. I like Mastodon. I'm on that. Let's see, here's where that, like, taking the time to do these little developmental pieces change or inform the story. Because I was actually talking about this with my students. I'm having them, I've actually got an entire school year to walk them through the process of making an 8-page mini comic. So we have lots of time to develop lots of material and ideas. And one of the things that I was telling them is that, like, doing developmental sketches will actually change the story, because in the doing of the developmental sketches, you're going to come up with ideas that you hadn't considered before, things that weren't obvious on the first try out. Like, for instance, I got my little Doctor Baer here, who dresses like so, right? That's his outfit. I wanted to be in like a little suit with a trench coat and a little 1970s hat. And as I started drawing them, standing here waiting to go up to the abbey at the top of the hill, and then it occurred to me, like, oh, it probably would be really windy because they're in this little cove here. Change the drawing, so now he's keeping his hat on his head. And it's almost like, I really do think of it this way. It feels like in the early stages of making a story, it's like I'm listening to a conversation through a wall. I'm getting like the general idea and the major emotional feelings of it, but I don't know exactly what's said. I don't know all the details of what's going on there. And it isn't until I sit down and start drawing in my sketchbook that that conversation comes into focus. Yes, I do teach professionally. I teach, I do school residencies in Ohio, Michigan. Ohio, Michigan? I'm originally from Michigan. I recently moved to Ohio. So originally I said across Michigan. Now it's across Ohio. And yeah, I do residencies in public schools. I do workshops with advocacy organizations to lead like 8-week, 10-week, and year-long comics workshops. And I have been, I mean, if you're not familiar with my work, I also have done a podcast for ages. It's on hiatus, but we did like 300 episodes called Lean Into Art, where I spent a lot of time with a game design friend of mine talking about these different storytelling principles that I teach in my classes. So I've been teaching since 2007. So a long time now. And I teach mostly, like I said, elementary school, middle school, high school. I do a little bit of work with college students. And then I also teach professional development, arts integration for educators. How to use comics in your classroom. I'm not doing much teaching online lately because I'm so booked in my in-person classes. It's something I've looked into. It's something I have the ability to do, and I certainly did it during the global health crisis of the last few years. But as we've started to gather in place again and be around people, there's been a lot of demand for my work in schools. So I mostly teach in person right now. And the stuff I teach is a little different than what some people tend to expect from a comics class, because I really don't teach much about how to draw. I just teach how to think about design principles so that whatever your drawing skill, you can make comics that an audience will enjoy. The central premise of my classes is that you don't have to draw well to do this. And that an image's appeal has less to do with technical skill than you might think. Now, I know when you get into a college level class, you're going to hear something very different, and that's fine. That's probably the right thing, because it's about, when you get to college level, the expectations are different and the intended outcome is different. But my hope is, and I've been doing this long enough that I've had some students actually back me up on it with their college experience, is that the time with me will prepare them to feel emboldened to be creative when they get the more intense assignments in college. And I like to think that because of the way I teach and the style that I have and my philosophy as a teaching artist, that's the technical term for my job, a teaching artist. I don't have a teaching certificate, but I do professional development to level up my skills, to make sure that I'm doing things in accordance with what, state and national standards of arts education are, etc. But where was I going with that? Yeah, the hope is that I have given them a foundation on which they can also question what they're going to get from their later education. I have had it happen where some students will reach out saying, like, this isn't what you told me about sound design. I'm like, well, I introduced you to an alternate point of view on it, so now you can thoughtfully engage with it with your college professor. And you don't have to take it on faith that that's exactly how you do it. So I have a lot of respect for that part of the job as well. I'm looking for my colored pen. There it is. Oh, there you are. Colored pen. So I'm going to do... Dr. Baer has these little creatures that live in his nesting staff. And they're not inked here, but they're called the wisps. They're little wisps of elemental magic. And they have different colors representing the different kinds of magics that they have. Do I have a purple on here? I do not. Where's my purple? I need a purple pen. Purple pen, where are you? Ah! Does this pen work? Let's find out. Purple pen. And an orange. I've got an orange right here. Keep a lot of colored pens around. So you have the violet wisp, has cleverness and speed magic. Maybe get it tighter. Yeah, this one has speed and cleverness magic. Blue wisp has cold and time magic. The green wisp has wisdom and health magic, and the orange wisp has heat and strength magic. If you're interested, this is the website. It's Dr. Baer, spelled BAER.com. And that's a book that I have coming out next year. It's one of the things I'm sharing these live streams for, was to get people to see some of the behind the scenes stuff of making this book. So these are the main characters from it. Okay, I'm going to now, I think I'm going to get some dry brush going on, just for like adding a little bit of texture in here. And then I'm gonna, ooh, that's too much. That's too rich, too saturated a brush. And I'm gonna get a pencil for the rest of it. Yeah, this brush is way too wet. Let's just go straight to pencil. And for that, got just like, what is this? An HB. What is this? Tombow. Oh. Okay. Okay, Ember. So yeah, so you're familiar with my stuff then. One never knows. And there's another teachable moment, right? It's like making sure that you are talking about yourself in a way so that if somebody who's never encountered what you do can be acquainted with it. The example I like to use for that is it makes me really frustrated and kind of angry when I listen to podcasts and people on the podcast talk about other people as if I should know who they are. And the host's like, well, I know who they are. Well, I don't. I'm listening. Bring me up to speed. So I think about that a lot when I'm doing these live streams. It's like, I don't want to assume that everybody here is necessarily already, you know, aware of what I'm doing. But, Jersey, that means that you got to spend extra time talking about this stuff. Well, sure. That means you also get to practice it. Okay, so now let's very gently do some of the shading. Oh, I'm going to do the monk's robes because he's got black robes. I'm going to just texture a little bit of that sloping hills in the background and some of the trees. Give this a sense of depth. Maybe even, I might just go ahead and cover it all in graphite and then progressively darken it. So MRiver72, how is your Saturday? If it is Saturday where you are. When you're hanging out on Twitch. A lot of rain outside, so you're chilling today. A lot of rain in Columbus today. And it feels like, at least here where I am, it feels like our first little taste of real autumn weather. Again, I'm originally from Michigan, so I was really surprised by how much warmer it is in Columbus. Because where I spent the last 15 years of my life, I mean, this time of year, it's usually pretty darn chilly. Oh, drawing on weekend drawing is a good time, in my opinion. Well, oh, I gotta do the water back there. So this is supposed to be like a little bay. I'm going to also darken upwards towards the horizon. I might be overdoing it, I'm not sure. Or reading the comics you piled up, that's a good thing too. Okay, I think I'm just about done with this. I'm going to go ahead and erase a little bit of some of those lines I put on the water. Might have overdone that just a touch. And you know what I can do to help emphasize that as water? Something I've been doing with all my Inktober sketches, I was actually doing my shading with blue pencil. Still need to finish Bone. That's a long book, my friend. It was like 1,300 pages, something like that. But it's worth it. It's a good book. It's a pretty thrilling climax and ending. I just finished recently. I finally got around to watching Across the Spider-Verse, and so that made me go back and read some of my old Spider-Man comics. And I reread Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man Annual. I don't remember what number it was, but he fights the Iron Man of the year 2020, way in the future of 2020. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man stories. It's so good. And it's like, it's one of those things that really celebrates like why I love that character. I won't spoil it. Everybody should go read it. Hey, Himashi. Just doing some Inktober sketching. Doing the prompt for today, which was castle, but I sort of like took my own direction of making it a scene from the next story where my heroes converge on this abbey to discover a dark and terrible secret. Thank you. So I think that's good for this one. I'll do another one to get caught up on my prompts. I'm ahead of schedule here. So this was day 14. Castle. All right. So I can do another one. Let's see, what's one of the other prompts? One of the ones I missed. Wander. Rise. Ooh, Rise is a good one. I did Toad. I did Drip. I did Golden. I did Map. I did Dodge. And I did Path. I did not do Bounce, Fortune, Wander, or Rise. I think I'm going to do Rise. I'll do Rise. And I'm going to just very quickly try to do some smudging of my blue here. Yeah, I'm having fun with it this year because I'm not trying to like really pressure myself to like make anything of it. I'm just doing the drawings. I mean, today I'm like I guess I'm kind of hacking it in that I'm trying to use it as double duty for doing some developmental sketches for the next Doctor Baer story, which I worked on a little bit today for those who are interested. I am on page 27 of my thumbnails. This is what first draft thumbnails look like. You will not be able to tell what this is. And you shouldn't because it's first draft, but got a ways to go with that. I have not been successful in finding the time to work on it as much as I would like, so. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna keep messing with this just a little bit longer. Efficiency, yes. I'm trying to not spend more than 2 minutes per sticky note. Trying is the operative term there though, because like there are times where I kind of go back and forth on some stuff, and it's good to go back and forth on it because that means I'm thinking about it. And it's also a way to practice trying to make something for the pleasure of it instead of trying to get all worked up about it. Okay, I think I'm gonna call that one finished. All right, so let's do day 15, Rise. Ooh, Rise. I know what I want to do with that. Okay, yeah, it's day 13's. I'm gonna go. I'm going to do some caskets in a sort of not sanctuary, it'd be like a catacomb. There's a part of my story that takes place in some catacombs. And I wrote in my notes that I was going to, the heroes were going to face these things called, I should look up catacomb coffin. Let me look up sarcophagus. Catacomb sarcophagus is what I need to look up. I want to get a quick picture of one. I can work off of something. Catacomb sarcophagus. Okay, yeah, there would be carvings all along the sides of it. Oh dear. these are intricate. All right. Well, what's gotta be's gotta be. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to do like some very quick, rough figures along these things. Anyway, I told myself that I wrote in the notes that there were going to be these water ghosts that rise out of the catacombs. There'd be like liquidy ghost creatures. I've made no secret. I've mentioned this on my Patreon that like two big influences on this story are John Carpenter's films, The Fog and The Prince of Darkness. And I really wanted to do something with ghosts like that we encounter in The Fog. And if you haven't seen it, the 1980 film, they're basically just like shadowy figures with glowing red eyes. But it's from when I first saw it when I was like 11, it was the ideal monster for me to see. Okay, so I'm gonna rough in, and I'm being really rough here. See, it's an Inktober sketch, so I'm not trying to do something magnificent here. Maybe put like a bone on the ground, emphasizing this place has been not treated with respect. And that's all I need to do. This is like I said, it's a rough idea I'm concepting for. Oh, and I was going to draw Pickles and Taft in there. They are not in this part of the story. They're in a different part of the story. So now I'm going to do my mercenaries. I'm going to find a picture of my mercenaries. In my way. I'm in the right folder. Gotta find. Didn't I call it just Shenandoah? Oh, it's in character designs. Man, see? Organize your files, y'all. Organize your files. I'm just talking to me. I'm not talking to you. All right, so it's in there, in character designs, and in Shenandoah, Cobros, and Dick. Here we go. There's the image I want. My kitty barbarian. And this is going to take me more than 15 minutes probably to do. We'll see. This is also a way for me to get some practice drawing the characters over and over again before I go to final. Barbarian. Oh my gosh. Oh, I wonder if that's what her race should be called. Her people. I'm not 1,000% sure of what her backstory is yet, but like one of the ones I've been playing with is that like she's actually like a queen who abdicated. Like she was a queen of a people, but she like quit because she wanted an exciting life of being a mercenary. But yeah, I wonder like if she comes from a people called the Barbarians. So good. Oh my gosh. Love her holding her club here. I mean, there will not be space for me to cover that in the actual book, but I suppose like in a character profile section or something, I could go into that if I really want to. And here's one of those things that like always feels like it's a great idea when you're doing the initial character, what's it called? Concept. But then it's like, oh, now congratulations, you get to draw this 100 times. It's like her barbarian club with the chains on it. It's really cool looking when you draw it once. You draw it a whole bunch of times, it's like, oh no, now I'm sad. Okay, now we got the little weird monkey type character. Dick, who's based on my old mercenary character from a book I did literally almost 20 years ago. And I have been thinking about bringing him back through these stories, these Dr. Baer stories, for a long time now, for years. I'm excited that I finally have a place to play with this little jerk again. Something I've been exploring with my students, or at least trying to get them to explore, is the joy of channeling all of your worst attributes into a character. And I try to point out to them, like in my book, Mining for Trouble, the character of Sapphire was me at my very worst, me at my most, how would I put it? Priggish. Overly proud, prescriptive, and Dick is like all of the terrible things that dark parts of me want to say to people, but I would never allow myself to do. Yeah, see, it's super fun, right? I mean, but like there's something, I don't know if it's something about the age of the kids I'm working with. I'm working with juniors in high school mostly right now, some freshmen. And they're just having a devil of a time expressing that to their characters. And I think part of it is that, like, they don't know who the heck they are yet. All right, so now we gotta do Cobros. Whoops. Get out of here. Cobros. And then I'll do the ghosts. Oh yeah, I could make the weapon or prop in Blender and draw over it at the right angle. Yeah, for sure. that is something I could do with Shenandoah's club for sure. And actually, I'm in talks with a student right now. I'm working with this kid who is just like a wizard with Blender. And I told him, I was like, you know, if you offered your services to cartoonists like me who want to like have this stuff to be able to import in Clip Studio Paint and be able to turn around, I bet you could probably get some commissions doing that. I'm actually thinking about giving him some of my work. Like I could give him this club. He'd have it done in like probably like, I don't know, half hour. But one of the things about the setting for this book is I want it to take place in this cove, and I want to do like this small village of maybe like 10 or 15 houses. And I was feeling so emboldened by the work I did on Dr. Baer's house that I was like, maybe I'll do that. And then I think about all the work it's going to take just to do the book. I'm like, I don't have time to do that. But if I could hire a kid to do it for me who like really loves working in Blender, and I just give him some reference images and tell him the specs that I want, that wouldn't be so bad. Yes. Oh, you mean you don't want to make swords and weapons in Blender to be 3D printed? I mean, that would work too. You could do that. You could make a really excellent cosplay of your characters. You wouldn't do that, would you? Of course you would. I mean, the other thing I'm thinking about too, and a number of people pointed this out to me, is like by building this stuff in Blender, then it'll be easy to 3D print it into toys and tchotchkes and things. Because I am not going to cosplay as Dr. Baer. Sorry, everybody. Okay, his other head would go here. Let's put it right here. Now point it up. No, that's not gonna work. Yeah, you can even 3D print it as a reference to hold in your hand, like how they have those posable figurines, except it's a prop. Totally. I remember one of my first gigs back in like 1998 was, and I'm sure I've shown you this, this drawing probably ages ago at the library. I had to draw, I think it was 6 or 7 pumpkin monsters. They were like a broomstick monster with a pumpkin head, and they were all riding motorcycles. And I'm like 24 years old at this point. I've hardly drawn enough to know like how to draw a motorcycle in perspective, but thankfully I had a whole bunch of toy motorcycles in my collection because I got a lot of funny toys. So yeah, I use those as a prop for sure, or as a reference. It is hard to do a snake emoting terror. There we go. I think I'm getting there. Get in focus? Come on, you can get in focus. There you go. You took a comics class at MSU. The prof showed us a video about the guy who built his own little model houses and stuff out of cardboard for reference. Was that Seth or was that the guy who did Mouse Guard, I wonder? And then there's this manga artist who makes his backgrounds using 3D assets and Unreal Engine, said that someday he wants to build a whole city on Unreal. That's the setting of the manga, so whenever he needs backgrounds, he could just pick the place in the city already modeled. That's exactly what I want to do too. I want to do that with the set of this next Dr. Baer story. I want to do the whole village so I can just like move, you know, move my eye wherever it needs to be. Okay, yeah, I know that, and I'm blanking on his name, and I feel bad because I know him. But obviously I'm not that good of friends with him. He's just an acquaintance. Peterson. Yeah, he did that. He made like sets for all this stuff. And then Seth, the Canadian cartoonist, did the same thing with his stories. Okay, so now let's pencil the ghosts in real quick. And the thing is, they're all different animals. Because these are the ghosts of the people who have been buried in the catacombs. And who are now rising when the main villain... Goat ghosts? Could be goat ghosts. Why not? Let's do that. Let's do... Give it a little bit of a potentially satanic vibe. So, yeah, goat ghosts. So yeah, we have like a cat rising up, liquidy ghost, and our mercenaries looking terrified as they rise out of the sarcophagi. You know what? I'm just gonna be sitting here drawing anyway. I'll just keep going. Normally I'd wrap it up going like, well, that's my time. But you know what? Why not? I'm here. Nobody's gonna like call the Twitch police on me and say you're streaming too long. Goat ghosts. I don't know. I mean, maybe Himashi, you would know whether or not this is a type of character that shows up in a lot of anime and manga, but I've spotted them in a few different animes that I've enjoyed, where you'd have, I would say Team Rocket is this kind of a character. They're not necessarily the main villains or like super evil villains, but they're like a rascally character who makes life difficult for your mains, and they also kind of, by virtue of who they are, kind of offer like a sort of Greek chorus kind of commentary on what's happening in the story, whether they are doing it intentionally or not. I've noticed this come up in a couple different things I've enjoyed, and so like that's basically what I've always was going with my mercenaries in the front, is that they're bad guys, but they're not so bad. They're not evil. They're just like selfish kind of jerks. And they also can be this kind of fourth wall breaky kind of character. Yeah, there you go. Yes. A lot of funny little fourth wall breaking quips too. Yes, that is, I really enjoy that, that type of character. And so that's what these folks are. They're not my main villains. They're there just to get in over their heads as the real drama of the story unfolds. And also, these kinds of characters tend to, not always, but they tend to kind of be buddies. Like they're villains who actually kind of care about each other. And I've always been a big fan of that too. Like everybody loves somebody. Like they give each other the business. They do all the things that villains do, where they're like mean and nasty and they steal and maybe even kind of betray each other. But ultimately, they know they're in it together because they don't have anybody else. Because who else would love them? Oh man, that is awesome. I did not know that Meowth did that. But yeah, I think about the first Pokemon movie, which I saw in the theater, and I remember there's this part where Meowth is kind of commenting on the emotional beats of the final battle with Mewtwo and Ash and Pikachu or something like that. It's been like 20 years since I saw it, but I remember thinking that was really fun. Like how the drama of the moment was being sort of undercut by this sly observational humor of Meowth. In the 2001 Transformers show, Robots in Disguise, there was a team of villains named Gasgunk, Slapper, and Dark Scream. They were 3 Predacons. One of them turned into a flying squirrel of all things. And they started out being set up as the main adversaries for the Autobots, but it very quickly turned into they were the comic relief, and they would get sent off on these missions, and then like the real tough bad guys would show up, and they would go hide behind a rock and sort of just like watch the action and comment on it the whole time. And it really felt like you were just like listening to like some funny coworkers. I loved them so much. But yeah. Okay, so at least there's Meowth. That's one more we can think of, but that's gotta be, like, I'm thinking it has to be some kind of type of character. There's gotta be a name for it. I'll have to figure that out before too long so I can talk about this clearly. All right. And I have a feeling that Meowth being able to talk was one of those things that on the playgrounds the kids were all arguing about, like, how come he can talk and the other ones can't talk like the same language as Team Rocket? And I would be the kid saying, who cares? It makes him fun. It makes him a really cool character. Pains. Always fun to draw. This is where I would break out a Clip Studio tool. Everybody has a chain brush, right? Right? I think one comes with the package. I remember using it a lot with the last chapter of Doctor Baer in the case of the Two-Face statue. Here's my Mohawk sporting snake mercenary. This is another character I've wanted to use for a long time. I remember like doing my initial sketches of this guy, like I want to say like 13 years ago. I think he was going to be a villain in a Boulder and Fleet story. I feel like it's a thing in kids media, but maybe in other stuff it's less villains and maybe like those hothead one-sided rival characters. but they don't do much of the explanation thing, I think. Probably so. I feel like, yeah, fourth wall breaking is something that I haven't done like an academic study of it, but I feel like it's something that a very specific kind of mature audience will permit that, or a very specific kind of story for mature audiences will permit that kind of fourth wall breaking. But when I think of it, most of the examples I can think of is stuff that's like lighthearted and meant for young audiences, like The Great Muppet Caper, again, that Transformers show, Keith Giffen's Ambush Bug, the first ones. Rest in peace, Keith Giffen. Okay. And I didn't put the other Cobros arm in there. Or Shenandoah's sleeve. There we go. I don't know what... He is asymmetrical, so what does his other hand look like? Okay. There's no glove on it. There's just white bands. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with these ghosts. I might do them in pencil. He only has 2 fingers, right? Yes, he has 2 fingers and a thumb. I think sometimes Bakugo from My Hero Academia sometimes does that sort of thing later in the series. I can read this all. Come on. Hufflepuff, the angry squirrel stomping around, like he does have some thoughtful moments where he's kind of the one who gets what other characters don't see in someone. I haven't watched My Hero Academia yet, and I know I need to because like everybody that I trust has told me that it's an amazing anime and manga, and it is full of big feelings that I will feel, and I'll probably get very upset in the good way. Cobras, what's the rest of your... Okay, now what is that? Oh, that's his ants. Okay, let's get... Well, yeah, Rob Stenzinger, like, loves it. And he's never steered me wrong. And Rob is one of those people who just loves what he loves. So, yeah, like I said, I've been meaning to give it a chance. I think with some anime, and this is not a criticism, this is just like a sort of a reflection of the dynamics at work about trying out new things, is that a lot of them are so long that you have to be careful about getting, you know, like everything feels like a huge commitment. Like, my students are like, you haven't seen One Piece yet? I'm like, you know what? I know how long it is, and I know how important it is and how meaningful it is because I've talked to the people who like love it from the bottom of their hearts. And they warn me, oh, Jersey, when you read this one, it's going to destroy you. And I believe them. But it's like, my gosh, I don't have time to keep up on stuff that isn't, you know, it's only like a couple seasons. There's a character with a bird head. His power is completely separate from having a bird head, so he's just like a bird guy for the heck of it. I love it. That's amazing. That is precisely my speed. So I'm positive it'll be the kind of thing where like once I dive in, I'm gonna be like so in love with it that it won't feel like a big investment. But I think it's the same kind of initial thrill of what would I say? A procrastination that I feel before diving into doing art. I'm happy I'm doing this right now. I feel really good about what I'm doing right now. But you know, there's that initial like, oh, I gotta go draw. You know, I'm gonna love it, but like there's something that spins up inside of me that says like, no, you don't want to do that, do you? You just want to organize your office. That'd be good. You've been meaning to do that. I have a feeling it's something akin to that. Like I'd start watching it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see the next episode. So then it doesn't feel like an investment anymore. It feels like it's something that's just a pleasurable part of my life. That's awesome. That's loving what you love. Okay, let's do this little mound of dirt and schmutz here. What's I'm missing? There's a few little texture lines here. Actually only 11 minutes over my time. I'm doing pretty good here. In 2021, you got through quite a few series in your watch list just by having them on the TV while doing commissions. Yeah. I'm looking forward to see. Another problem is like I'm in a writing phase with this project. So, number 5. Once I'm in drawing mode with this book, that's going to be glorious because I'm actually going to be able to listen to podcasts, watch television shows, go back to listening to Let's Play videos on YouTube. It's such a double-edged sword, thumbnailing, because like on the one hand, it's like my favorite part of the process, the part where I feel most alive as an artist. But it's the part where it feels like the most work. Okay, so let us do the carvings on these with a drier brush. I'm going to get a piece of blotting paper for drying out my brush. Just to make it a little bit out of focus. Yes, laundry is a good time for catching up on your anime or podcasts. Folding clothes is a relatively mindless task. For me, a lot of it was being on the treadmill, like working out. But I started working out with friends, which is nice. It's nice to have the company, but it's like I'm also like I'm kind of getting a little bit behind on my podcast now. Now when it comes time to draw these sarcophagi for real, I will probably figure out some different reliefs to put on there that will sort of support and emphasize aspects of the story. There'll be storytelling on here about like the history of the cove. Janjovid Cove is what it's called right now. Well, I am very honored to be keeping you company while you're doing your work or laundry, Meshi. It's very kind of you. Thank you for giving me practice in talking about my art while I make it. Something I haven't done for a while, so it's... I feel like when I start producing actual pages of the story, I'm gonna have to do this a lot more. Try to gin up some interest in the book for when the origin story is released next October. Okay, now let's figure... Oh, I need to do the cave behind them. It's a sarcophagus. Oh, I'm capturing that. Hameshi, you gotta stop giving me all these ideas. Is it spelled with an A? Sarcophagus? Now I gotta check. Or is it sarcoph? Sarcopha? Sarcopha, you're right. Sarcophagi. I'm gonna have Dick shouting that. And that might be a line in the book. If I can find my number 5, there you are. Okay, now, the ghosts. What do I want to do about the ghosts? Well, I've got some blue ink here that I might use to render the outlines of the ghosts. And I'm going to apply clothes on them because these are all real people of the town passed away. And then I'm going to do the cave lines behind them. Contributing puns to the pun bank. I'm really digging this piece. It's pretty loose and pretty like unfinished, but I think it's got a lot of energy and character, and I think it's like this will probably make it into the book. So like there's gonna be one part of the book where these three, they think they're after the MacGuffin. Right? There's the MacGuffin that everybody in the story is after, and they're like, well, we're after it too because we're bad guys. But then they quickly get derailed into this long, extended chase through the catacombs, where every time they think, oh, we finally made it, we're finally out of the catacombs, like, oh no, we're in a deeper part of the catacombs, there's more ghosts. And so it's just like a third of the book is them just running away from ghosts. Which is very Team Rocket. Like, we're only going back to see them just because they delight us, not because they're contributing materially to the plot. And they might be involved in the plot in some kind of material way later on, but only as a way to, like, create, like, another device in the story. I need to find out, like, if that kind of character archetype shows up in other media. Okay. So now, time for blue penciling these folks. And I'm going to pencil sarcophagus behind this dude and ink it behind this dude. Pencils. Give the impression that they are translucent. I don't know if this is what colors the water ghosts are going to be. This is literally the first time I've drawn them. Basically, I want them to be like shambling, zombie-like creatures. Again, thinking of John Carpenter's The Fog, there's these sort of sailor ghosts who are in it, and they just walk really slow. They have purpose. They know what they're doing and why. But they're just really slow and shambling, and they have that kind of creeping dread of a zombie, an old-timey zombie story, while also having like the inevitability of a zombie or ghost story. But they can only operate between the hours of 12 and 1 a.m. So there's also like this really cool time limit on when they can come after you. And so I want these things to not be like wild, screaming, banshee-like ghosts. I want them to be like silent, menacing, coming for you ghosts. That makes sense. All right, I'm going to run a quick little eraser over some of the blue in the middle here. And then I think I'm just going to touch it up with a little bit of shading. And this might be done. I might have done 2 pretty decent Inktober sketches today. I am happy. I can't thank y'all enough for hanging out with me today and providing me with good puns, food for thought, encouragement, reassurance. You made what have been a quiet, lonely afternoon a lot less quiet and lonely. I hope the weather is pleasant in Michigan today. I know here in Columbus, it's like our first little bit of chilliness. Rainy and chilly. Here's Shenandoah's other leg. Outside? Who goes outside? Sick people, weird people. Why would you go outside when you stay inside and draw? So after this, I'm going to sit down and do some more thumbnailing for the book. But this was a good little break to, once again, like acquaint myself with some of the stuff that is going to appear later on in the book. Let's do a little bit of blue shading. Do Shenandoah's jean jacket. And I'm going to shade her big old trophy skull that's on her shoulder. There, I think that's good. So here is day 14, castle, and day 15. What was this? No, this wasn't day 15. Which one was this? Oh, for the love of corn. This was Rise, day 13. So I got day 13 done too. Day 13, Rise. Oh, man. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And for those who are watching who have not participated in my streams before, this is the book that I got coming out next year. DrBaer.com, B-A-E-R, not B-E-A-R. That's where you can find out about this graphic novel, middle grade spooky graphic novel, coming out next year. And the story I'm going to be serializing online features these characters that are going to, you get to read more about these folks in the months to come. So, thanks again. This was fun. And I don't see any reason why I wouldn't be back next Saturday. So until then, I've been Jersey Drozd of DrBaer.com, Jersey Drozd on Instagram, jdrozd.com, all that stuff. Okay, bye.